Hi, my name is Nick, and I'm here with the College Success Initiative to talk about different experiences at colleges. The purpose of this conversation is to help people, both children and parents, figure out what options are available to them after high school. I want to hear now some pros and cons from the college experiences that you each had. Carlos, could you tell me a little bit about Bunker Hill?
Um, Bunker Hill, the pros definitely outweigh the cons. With the school, I didn't really see anything wrong. The amount of help I got was perfect. I needed a lot of help in math, and they had a whole building assigned for math tutoring and math help, and then if they had a whole other section for other type of tutoring. I didn't really like the fried foods they offered or cooking at home, so there was a section where you can get free sandwiches, which always satisfied me. And it was great. It was good professors and good teachers and all that. And the cons were the commuter school for me because I wanted to play rugby for school, and I couldn't do that at Bunker Hill. The weight room was okay, but it was hard to use because of the amount of capacity it could hold. Sometimes I just went there for classes and studied and went home. You know, there was nothing much else I did than do that. And I wish, I want to pursue a school where I can be a part of their athletics program and represent them and have a gym where I'm close to maybe a dorm where, you know, you can shower, because at Bunker Hill you can really do that. And those are the things, but you have to find a way to survive like anyone else. So, yeah.
So there were pros and cons. The pros were that I was able to, because it was a small school, our dorms were like mixed with other schools, and I got to meet a lot of people from other schools, so that was good. And I was in the city, and there was always something to do, no matter what day it was, so that was good too. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my allergies right now. Some cons. It's a private school, so it's really expensive. I think that was the biggest struggle for me, was just leaving with so much debt and not realizing how much debt I was going to leave with, just because I wasn't aware that my scholarship didn't cover my room and board, and that was my fault. I didn't really have any support at home with like looking through my financial aid package, because my parents aren't really familiar with the college process here, because they're immigrants. So that was one of my biggest struggles, is just not understanding the financial aid package and kind of leaving with a lot of debt.
Yeah, anywhere you go, right, it's going to have its positive and negative experiences. And I think choosing a college should be really based on, does it fit you financially, and does it fit you, does it fit your personality? So at Hamilton, really one of the biggest challenges was that it was 4 hours away from Boston, 4 hours from the city. And so you were living in a remote area where your community, your college community was your home. It became your home. So oftentimes we would, my freshman and sophomore year, me and my posse and I would leave every single weekend to come back home. But after you become adjusted and it becomes your home, you tend to really figure out how to best use the college life. The opportunities and experiences there. I loved that we had small class sizes, because that worked for me. I am more of a learner that learns hands-on. I wouldn't have been able to go to a big state school and been in a big classroom where I wouldn't have gotten to know my professors as much as I did. I wouldn't have gotten to know my peers as much as I did. Then Hamilton really just gives you the opportunity to succeed and take the freedom to take those opportunities. It's a very safe space for you to like take risks, and I think that that's something that really Hamilton excels at is not only the academic aspects of public speaking and writing, but also pushing our students to take on leadership positions. So another great opportunity is that there's a lot of activities to do, a lot of organizations that you can create or be a part of, take leadership roles in those organizations. There's also opportunity for you to try out different culinary treats, and I think that's something that when you're struggling to be away from home, comfort food is something that is really important for all of us. The academic aspects of Hamilton are extremely rigorous, so there was always help. There was always help and support, not only from your professors, but also from the different departments available to you. So I think I recommend that everyone should visit their college campus before they sign on, because then you get a different experience. Stay there overnight, because then you start to really figure out what are the pros and cons before going there, and by that time you've already signed the piece of paper.
I think I can kind of touch on my pros and cons every time I speak, but some pros were definitely like small class size was awesome. Again, like I have professors that I turn to now. I can turn to some of my ed professors and question them about what I am doing in certain classes that I'm teaching, or just anything I really need. Like I can turn to a few people and rely on them. And again, long-lasting friendships that I am so grateful for now. I also just being close to home was so good for me. I really, really, really loved being close to home. I can come home and do my laundry. I can come home and see my sisters. It was really good for me. And I think some cons were kind of, again, the diversity was really hard for me. Coming from a place like Cambridge, where you can find any type of person, it's so different to go to a school where you are the minority and it's, you know, everybody who is a minority, everybody knows each other, and it's really hard. And I think too, just it was so small that like your freshman year you met everyone, and then after that it was kind of like, oh, we get new freshmen, cool, but like you never really saw that many new people. And it was a commuter school, so like if you were commuting and you were down to commute, that's awesome. It was close. It's only about 30 minutes from Boston. But if you weren't, it was really small on campus. But there was just, I got to dive into different worlds. Like I was a fashion minor, and like I had no interest in fashion going into school, but leaving, I love it. I love that I got to experience that, and I got to experience kind of everything different with different teachers, and they're all really, really different. Every professor has like a different way that they function and a different way that they hold their class and what they expect from their students, and I think that was awesome for me because I was so close. There were such small class sizes, but I kind of was in between. There's definitely pros and cons of Framingham. Some will find more cons and some will find more pros, and I think I was kind of in the middle.
Yeah, I think I'm lucky that I had a posse with me, so I knew 9 other people before getting to school. So there wasn't that much of a culture shock when trying to meet new people. Yeah, and so we kept a really like close and tight community, not only within ourselves, but also with other posse members in the greater Hamilton community. So that really helped us, like when we were struggling, not only academically, but when we were so far away from home, right? We had each other, and I don't think a lot of places offer, right, that opportunity to come in, especially at a commuter school. You don't really get that opportunity to come in and meet other people, right, that might be mentors, or that might be able to show you and guide you, like, hey, you know what, this professor is great, this one might not be so great. So I think that's, I guess, another one, another pro to having a 4-year like private institution is you have, I guess, more support than you would at like a state school or like a commuter school.
Yeah, it was just so many people. So it was a small school, but there were so many commuters, so it like made it bigger.
Right.
So I think that was like a huge thing, was like it was so small inside. Like campus life was tiny.
Yeah.
There was only a few people that lived there, and like when I say you knew everyone, you knew where
You
they
knew
lived, you
yeah.
knew what floor. Like it
Yo.
was, you could name somebody from across the street
Yeah.
that you maybe just had a class with or whatnot. But that was just I think that was for me. It was really struggling, and I think that like I cannot put enough emphasis on like the diversity killed me.
Yeah.
I struggled so much with it. I think
Yeah.
it was just too much for me.
Yeah.
But it was awesome, and I have friends that I lived down the street from one of my roommates, and we moved in together. They placed us together, and we didn't realize that we literally lived on the same street back home. So it was kind
Really?
of crazy. And you living close to home, it's nice to meet new people. Like I've never met her, and we lived on the same street for like 10 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous, but
So I guess talking about that, pros and cons, I guess I want to talk about the financial aid package that was offered to each of you. So Carlos, could you tell me a little bit about what you received with Bunker Hill?
Yeah, so it was great because I didn't pay a thing for my classes or books, and even when I had to pay for a book with my financial aid, I searched for something better, and I was given free textbooks through a program that Bunker Hill got, so I was able to keep some financial aid for other expenses. I also got Pell Grants and Mass Grants. And yeah, it was wonderful because I really didn't think about it before this conversation, but after hearing like, I got out of school with this much debt or that much debt, or I was always working, you know, I'm not really in debt, so like it's like a blessing in disguise. I never thought of it like, wow, I just spent 2 years in a college and I'm going out of here debt free. Like you guys really made me like think about it like deeply. It's like, wow, I'm lucky.
My financial aid package did not cover all of my expenses. And so it covered everything but room and board, but room and board was really expensive because it was in the city. So I had to come up with that. Some of it was out of pocket and some of it was loans, but room and board was, I believe, about $20,000 a year. So it was a large amount for me to leave with. So yeah, I had to come up with some of that out of pocket, and some of that was taken out in loans.
So I was fortunate that I had a full academic scholarship. So most of my tuition was covered. The only thing that wasn't covered was my room and board. But through different grants and a small amount of loans, I was able to get by. And so I'm happy that I'm proud that I just paid off all of my student loans. So I'm very fortunate. Yeah, because they don't stop. They don't stop calling you.
no, they don't.
They don't stop sending you mail
They're in
either.
my email now.
Yeah, they know. So, but I would have paid them off much sooner if I would have been a little bit more responsible, and if I would have stayed on top of my loans, and if I would have had just a little bit more support and been educated on how to pay them back. Because if I would have paid them certain amounts consecutively, then they would have dropped my rates, right? But I think I was really more, I prioritized being able to support and help my family at home than I did paying my student loans. But again, it has to be the best fit, right? In the U.S., it's a crisis. We're $1.3 trillion worth of student debt. So when we think about our education, we got to think about, can I afford it? Can my family afford it? And then will I be able to pay it back? And in a career that I'm going to enjoy. I've met so many people that are lawyers and they hate being a lawyer. So, you just went through school and paid this amount of money, and now you just hate what you do. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go after your hopes and your dreams and what you've always wanted to be just because of debt, right? Or you're afraid of student loans. That shouldn't stop you, right? It shouldn't stop you from pursuing your dreams. But it really just has to be a great fit for you, and it has to be a fit for how much you're going to be able to contribute back. You don't want to live the rest of your life living in debt. And I think that's a conversation that we have to have within ourselves, but also as a country, is how do we help young people get out of struggling debt? And it starts with us.
I have not paid off my loans.
You're right, you'll get
Not
there.
even close.
You'll get there.
But I was blessed enough to not have to take on so many loans because I went to a state school and because my family was helping me through it. A lot of the money was paid out of pocket, and because it wasn't crazy ridiculous, my four parents, were able to split kind of the cost of school. And with a little help from me, I was able to finish more than half of it. I do have some loans, not many, and I'm really proud of it. I know some people who have lots more than I do, and I'm happy with what I have. I did have to kind of for the bill on transportation, and that was hard because I was an ed major. So for me, I had to travel. I also had to work full time. So between traveling for work and doing my internships in student teaching, I had a lot of traveling finances that I need to cover, and it added up to be a lot. And I think that was it. And just kind of campus food to me was disgusting. So I ordered so much more food than I probably should have. And because I was in college, I went out a lot more than I probably should have. So I spent a lot of money on useless things, but also just on living and being a college student. And so, yes, financial aid was nice, but it wasn't enough in that for some people, they got a lot more than I did. But it was all right. My financial aid packet did cover enough where my family could help me do the rest.